Hello, I'm Hollis Kurman, author of a few children's books, including this book, Counting in Green, 10 Little Ways to Help Our Big Planet. And the book that I'd like to talk to you about today, Hello, A Counting Book of Kindnesses. And this is the book that we want to talk about in the context of Refugee Week 2024. I originally set out to write this book to look at the refugee journey, the child and the family refugee journey, not through the lens of the horrors experienced along the way, which so many of us know, but through the lens of the hope and help and kindness that can be experienced along the way and also upon arrival. When I first started to write this book and had the idea to write it, there were hardly any books out there at all for children addressing or telling the refugee story or talking about the refugee experience, and particularly not for children this young, for readers this young. Hence the counting book format also, to try and give children and families and classrooms a framework to have these kinds of difficult discussions, but in a way that is hopeful and uplifting and engaging. So the book, Hello, A Counting Book of Kindnesses, again, doesn't sugarcoat the story. It doesn't pretend that things are better than they are, but it does let us all know, and especially children, that we can help and make a difference at any age. And it's really easy to do. This is a particularly important story to me, not only because of friends and work experiences with refugees, but also because it's deeply rooted in my own family story on both sides. Both sides of my family are all refugees, proud immigrants, all looking for safer, better places to live, which everyone deserves. And I remember growing up as a little girl hearing these stories of, the horrors that they were experiencing, their need to escape, but also the journey, which in a way sounded a little bit like an adventure to me. I mean, it sounded awful, but also there was a certain kind of excitement about the journey, and realizing that a journey is not just going from point A to point B. It's often not so simple. It certainly isn't today. But even in my family, going from one country to a second country, a third country, hoping to find safety there, realizing you can't stay yet, so having to go to a fourth country, and then maybe coming back. The secrets underneath, how you were going to make a life and build life for your generation and generations to come. I think it was just very deeply ingrained, and I'm sure influenced my wanting to be involved in the organizations that I've been so involved with, from Human Rights Watch and Save the Children and others. So I'm really delighted to be taking part in this work with VIP Reading and for Refugee Week 2024, whose theme, Our Home, really hits me very close to home. So I'm going to just read a few pages of the book, and you'll get the idea. So, Hello, A Counting Book of Kindnesses. It's written by me, Hollis Kurman, and beautifully illustrated by Bahu. And my dedications are not just little footnotes, but really important to note. For whom did I write this book? Well, this book is dedicated to all the children everywhere who have made the journey, and to everyone who showed them kindness along the way. So the book starts with there's a picture of a backpack and a bird, and I always ask the children when we read this together to take note, because we'll be seeing these things coming back on other pages. The backpack, that's that little piece of home and our identity that we take along with us, and the bird, which is not only freedom, but company in this particular story. And the story starts where sadly many refugee stories start, in a very scary place. And I ask the question, well, what if a place got so scary that we had to run away? Hold my hand and count to 10, and together we'll make it better again. And then we stop and I ask this impossible question as we see our little boy here with the backpack on his back. Imagine that you suddenly had to leave because home was no longer a safe place and everything you could take had to fit in your backpack. What would you bring? This is such a hard question, even for us as adults, but can you imagine for a child in this situation what you would take? And the children start to think about it and either draw or tell me what they would bring. In some cases, actually taking a backpack and trying it out, something to keep them company, to keep them busy, little reminders of home. And for children who have not made that journey, it's an immediate way to build empathy. Suddenly you are in those shoes, trying to imagine what you would bring. And then we start to count. 1 boat helping us on our way. And there's the bird. 2 hands lifting us to safety. And this is an image we're all way too familiar with. Too many refugees stuck on a too small, too unsafe boat. In this case, we've got our company and our helper and our little family being helped. 3 meals filling us up. And I remind the children, if you are lucky, very lucky, you get 3 meals a day. There are so many children not getting any meals at the moment. Not only refugees, but especially they. 4 beds, keeping us safe and warm. And here we talk about the fact that this is probably not yet their new home, but it is a safe place for now. It is a safe place along the way. And although we might be missing our home, we're happy to have that safety. And maybe it's a refugee camp or center, or maybe some kind family is offering a home to stay. 5 wishes, giving us hope. And this was initially inspired by the 5 times a day that Muslims pray, but in a more universal way, 5 wishes giving us hope. Because as I explain when we talk about this story, if we have hope, if we can keep hope alive, we can keep going. It's so important. Anyway, it goes on and the story gets more and more hopeful as we get from 1 to 10. And at the end of the book, there are some facts about refugees and the situation. Did you know, and you'll talk about the millions and millions of refugees escaping from hard situations, whether it's conflict or fire or floods, other kinds of difficult situations, and half of these refugees are children, many of whom have no one to take care of them. And the last question I always leave the group with is, how many ways can you think of to be kind? And I'm honestly just so moved by the answers. One of which was, well, here's a way to be kind. You can listen. And refugees have a lot of stories, a lot of difficult stories to tell. They might not be ready to tell them yet, but when they are, it is a kindness to listen. And at the very end is a list of some organizations, and there are many more, just small local organizations, big international organizations who can help us help refugees. And the starting point is that at times like this, during Refugee Week, and hopefully every week, we will be thinking about these brave refugees who are out there trying to find safety and dignity as we all deserve. Thank you so much.